Hello, this is GEFerris. In 1993, I took this trip to King Oscar Fjord. What an adventure.
This is the action tonight, a fog migrating down from the fjord. Here is a sandstone, multi-layered, almost turned into a shale. Here's another very pretty example of a red sandstone. Here's a very unusual stone.
It's probably a conglomerate of a calcitic feldspar with sedimentary hematite inclusions.
Once again, the clouds have opened up, and now we have a spectacular view of the glacier. It's amazing to think how much snow is bound up in that piece of ice.
Here's a geological map, and next is a Google topographical map. We pulled in on Trail Island to have some lunch, and this is what we came across. It was really quite exciting to see.
This is a long-tailed Jaeger that is resting on the beach. We're watching a group of narwhal coming up. It's the fjord, 73 degrees north. Every once in a while they swim with their tusk out.
We're very lucky.
Yeah. Well, we've really seen a walrus.
Loons, huh?
Yeah, red-breasted loons.
So nice to see a pair of them, of red-breasted loons.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Here's a Google topographic map, and next we have two geological maps that show the extensive sediment in this area. We're starting to see the highly defined layers of carboniferous sediments. You can see the contrast is really quite striking.
Here's our geological scenery. And we just watched a whale. So you can see what we have for topography here.
Look at the amazing colors and definition to these strata.
Yeah, I did a lousy job getting pictures of that. I couldn't get just did. I had all kinds of problems. Well, it wasn't like it was right next to us.
This is our panorama for this afternoon. We're at Flowers Bay.
In Danish, this is called Blomsterbu.
On the 15th of August.
One of the main reasons why we happen to have stopped here is because of the beautiful, extensive flowers. This series of photographs I took in Blomster Bay, or Flowers Bay, and it's always very interesting the morphology of these Arctic plants, which must be able to tolerate severe drying and wind conditions. The ferns are always found in very sheltered conditions in among rocks down in deep fissures, and they grow to be quite sizable. They can have stems as long as 6 or 8 inches.
This is the action tonight, a fog migrating down from the fjord, which is north, and is coming in from the marine world. It's just generally filling in here. And we're in this little microclimate where I am standing, so the fog is not coming into this area. However, it's going around.
This island, which is called Ruth Island,
is out again. Where we are, it's a warm place with great variety of plants and very good soil with ambient sediments. Very nice. Just to my left here, it's a lovely example of some marble.
here in this area we are seeing many calcium mineral deposits, and this marble is just one of them.
Quite pretty. So we are full circle. The fog blowing down. This is just to show you some of the strata we've been paddling along.
This is a bunch of mudstone and slate And later, when a musk ox runs over it, it clatters.
Now it looks like from above. So you kind of get a feeling for our present paddling. We will be moving down into a different geological area in a few days. But for now, this is part of what we have. It's quite exciting to look at. If you look, you'll see that this iceberg is rolling. A few minutes ago, some large chunks of ice fell off it and has changed its center of gravity a little bit. It's rolling towards us very slowly. Now it's reversing its roll, and we want to look to the right. It's an interesting sedimentary seam. Probably has some low-grade coal in the areas that are dark. Now going back to our iceberg. The whole thing is slowly revolving. Now it's revolving towards us. Okay, the front edge is dipping gradually. This is a bumblebee from the Arctic. You can see this bumblebee is just too cold to fly this morning. I'm going to give you a panorama shot looking down the Valley of Flowers from above. So you can get a feeling of the geology. Now at my feet, here it is. It's a very lovely place with lots of flowers that really grow quite a bit south of here are growing because it's a microclimate in this little region.
This map conveniently shows the geology of the island, the small island right in the middle, and its Precambrian sediments.
Now I'm a little further up, and I'm scanning the horizon. And here, in a little closer detail, is a lone musk ox.
I'm being very careful not to move, so the muskox might not see me. See those horns? They are like stilettos. This is a lone bull muskox.
The animal is approaching me because it can't smell me. I am upwind of it. I think it's a lone male. And we are now starting rutting season. So this is not the best situation for me to be in. Now, quick as a wink, the muskox went one way, I went the other way. I went around, up here, and so did the muskox. I heard a little clatter.
On the shale.
I turned around and came back down again because muskox is on its way up the hill, and I shall go down the hill. Now we can look out at this expanse to the area we're going to paddle into in the next several days. The average altitude here is 1,000 feet. Now going from this geology here, I'll show you something kind of curious. It's an area filled with ancient ripple marks. And far off in the distance, There's a very colorful display of sedimentary oxides of iron, coal, and other compounds, such as calcium.
We're on the island in the middle, and we are among Precambrian sediments.
Beneath these protected cliffs you can find these ferns, Chrysopterus fragilis, and there's also
Woodsia.
that grows in these areas. The stone above is quartzite. However, other stone in the area that's white is marble. And below it is some metamorphosed sediments here. The late season bumblebee in the blueberry patch. Some blue campagnolo flowers to enjoy. Now, looking at something that shows that people have been here in the past. Eskimo people were last seen here 150 years ago, and then they disappeared. Tent ring in the foreground. Just below it is a second tent ring. And in the area, as near the tent ring, is also some pieces of stone that people had been trying to shape them into projectile points. Very hard flint material that breaks with extremely sharp edges. This could have been an old coastline at this altitude. We're about 30 feet above the coast. We have come down the hill, and here's a very lovely
Dolomitic,
calcium combination. Calcium with
a form of dolomite called greenstone,
it is particularly lovely to look at.
with pink feldspar.
We've dropped down about 50 feet from the tent circles we were just looking at a moment ago. There's also rocks with manganese in them that are a pinkish purple color. Among these rocks you see a large population of these ferns. It's amazing how many like to grow here. And it's very common to find them close to rock faces and within rocks. These are Chrysopterus fragrans. You can see there's some within here. There's Chrysopterus, and there's some right here. There's also a little
Woodsia.
It is growing here too. It's very small. And right next to the Chrysopterus is our little tiny, there they are, Chrysopterus,
Woodsias.
right here. And they're about 3 to 4 inches tall.
This is a Leucanora, one of the many really tiny lichens. Here's a red berry. It's called a bearberry. This is a type of rumex. It's edible. Next is a combination of woodsia and fireweed. Fireweed is edible.
This evening, August 17th, 1993, from our campsite here in northeast Greenland, we are prepared for an ice wrist, and it's about 9:30. And this is what it looks like.
Eleanor Bay features tower-shaped icebergs.
I'll show you very amusing iceberg. It looks like a bunch of castle towers just sitting there. We are having a little light surf, and our icebergs are breaking up here and there.
Now we have paddled over to Ella Island, which is where the Sirius Patrol headquarters happen to be. And Ella Island has some exciting dolomite.
This morning is August 21st, 1993. These are conditions this morning. We had some wind last night that went up to about 25 knots. Now it's settled right back down again. The clouds were in the south, and now they're moving up open to the north. We are at a Sirius station, which is an extension of the Danish Navy that maintains outposts along the coast here of northeast Greenland.
And the sound you hear in the background is a generator.
And it's manned by several men that work together and go up and down the coast with dog sleds. Here is the expedition house where we have been sleeping last night. It's part of the Lange Koch group of outposts. It's something that was put up when he was actively in this area doing scientific research. Mountains are, that one is in the 4,000 foot range.
Here's a photomicrograph I took showing some diatoms and other debris from the bottom of a mud puddle.
I'm at the beach. And a group of little waders are here, picking through among the fucus. And if you watch these little guys, they are turning stones over. They probably are turnstones. And they're methodically going through, looking for goodies under each rock. We have been paddling in double clippers as a group of 8 people. And here they are, up above the beach here, resting. The common tern is in this area, and it's looking for food. We had seen Arctic terns, and this is the first time we are now seeing the common tern.
Looking at this extensive sedimentary strata, the next question is, all right, where do you come in for a landing? And that was one of the things that we knew before we took this trip, where one comes in for a landing.
This evening we're standing on the south side of Ella Island,
At Cape Harry,
and the conditions are quite calm. It's very nice out. In the foreground are some dwellings that are from the Inuit people that lived here 150 years ago or earlier than that. They are houses that have been cut out of the sod, and you can see this depth here is easily a meter deep. And some of them, the walls are lined with rocks still to this day. From this point, they had excellent fishing opportunities and hunting. The water comes through here,
as a polynya, or open water.
forms areas with open leads during the winter. Many of these houses have very obvious meat pits that are nice to see. This is my first experience seeing one. Very carefully planned for storage of meat. We're standing at the backside of a home which has 2 rooms in it. They're connected together. To my right is a home. Remains of a quite a bit older home. House with 2 rooms. Here's another view. There is in the neighborhood of 10 dwellings that were once here. And it's very interesting, they're far off in this fjord. There's a very interesting appearance of topographical gradients that run all the way down for quite a few miles. This evening we have cirrus clouds through to the north. Looks like there's a bit of a storm from another viewpoint in the north. We always get our weather in this area when it's bad weather. It comes in from this direction, and hopefully tomorrow this is what we will have for conditions. I'm looking at the Ymers Alps.
We have paddled down to Kirkenes on our way down to Petersen's Point and Mestervig.
They're quite high, and we have had a weather change set in at our campsite. In a matter of moments, this wind has come up quite strongly. It's pretty rough out there. And then you can see how it is working down the fjord. The wind isn't that strong down here yet, so it's quite flat down in here. This is an example of what it can be when you're kayaking on the water. It can be just as innocent as pie. Then, in a very short time, for no reason, it can turn into just a chaotic mess. We're sitting here on land thinking our stars that we're not out here in these very aggressive whitecaps.
Get some waves.
Big waves. It'd be pretty challenging right now if we were out there.
Yeah,
It'd be a royal fight. Can you imagine trying to paddle in this stuff? Yeah, look at that. Well, we got 2 footers right here on the beach right now. Pretty good. Across our fjord is a remarkably fascinating mountain called the King's Castle. It's quite a very exciting landmark to look at here. It's very nice. And we have been down in a metamorphosed sedimentary area paddling with rocks that have gone through many different cycles of geological change. Now I'm giving you a close-up view of our water conditions so you can get a feel for those whitecaps are doing. There's a common tern looking for dinner. This is the kind of thing you have to be able to negotiate as a paddler. Now we're up near Mestervig in northeast Greenland. It's got a little gray. I'll go down this direction. In this area, there's some rather interesting rock strata, which gradually become more and more upended. You get some high contrasting colors in.
Amazing green, red, and white strata. Here is some dolomite that's blue with some hematite that's a purpley red. It might be a carbonate form, but it's been multi-metamorphosed sediments.
The mountains on this side are very, very ragged. Alpine peaks, so to speak.
The Stauning Alps.
You can see that is upended strata for sure.
This is our view from behind the hut at Petersen Point.
It's a calm morning as I'm sitting here watching these 3 eiders pass by. There's a little fog up above. But what I want to show you is some interesting results of a rock that is nicely metamorphosed. It's calcite and probably gneiss. It's quite exotic. This area has gone through many geological upheavals and metamorphoses. This rock illustrates a lot of folding and heating.
Here's a photograph of that same rock, just in a slightly different position. Here's some dolomite strata I came across with some incredible colors ranging from yellow to purple. I took this photograph just to show the very, very thin skim ice layer that is starting to show on the surface of the water in the evening. This is a very dangerous type of ice that, in just the right conditions, can actually cut a boat in half. I took this photograph at, I don't know, something like 1 o'clock in the morning from my tent, just to show you. this ice on the surface.
Now is pack ice, which is coming towards me on the tide. And you can see that this kind of stuff moves everywhere all the time.
In the background you can hear the turns.
It is coming in from the outside here of the fjord. It oftentimes is going not just with the current, but the wind will push it along as well. It's constantly moving and constantly revolving. So you can get a feel for what old pack ice from last summer looks like, which has come down from possibly the far north. It's hard to say how rapidly it moves. I'll just scan for you so you can see it in closer detail. To our last reference point, it's gone almost 3/4 through.
I was really shocked to find this birch growing at 73 degrees north. This is the farthest north I've ever found any birch growing. And next to it was Cassiope tetragona, which is just a wonderful plant for cooking with. It makes wonderful fires. Here's one of the many very common rock tripe in the Arctic. This one happens to be a fairly bumpy one, but it is edible if it's cooked. I was able to sneak up and take a photograph of this Arctic fritillary. What a delight it is to see such a beautiful butterfly. This armeria loves growing in very poor dry soil. It's really a very tiny plant, but the flower is quite large. Such a pretty flower. I just couldn't resist gathering these highly varied pebbles, putting them in shallow water and taking a photograph, just to have a record of the immense variety of stone in this area. This black lichen grows as tall as 10 centimeters. It's Bryoria natidula. It's always growing in bare soil. Here's a Renadina archean, and it's a tiny lichen that converts minerals into soil. I came across this Diana. It's a fritillary butterfly. It had died, but it was in the shade, so I was able to get a wonderful photograph of it. Here on Kap Petersen, I came across these incredible marine fossils, and even more exotic, I came across blue-greens that are stromatolites, ancient fossils. This is a tiny plant. It's only 3 inches tall. It's an alpine whitlow grass or Draba crassifolia. Quite fascinating to look at. This erigeron grows absolutely flat to the ground. I'm in a fell field, and this is in the daisy family, believe it or not. Here is one of those very common fell field lichens. It's Ibriocolin divergens. It's all over the place on the ground. A common lichen, Sutraria icelandica. This is very special. It's chalky white, and it's called leprechaun, and it loves to grow among mosses in moist areas. This is one of those lichens that colonizes soil. Amazingly, here is this xanthoria growing on quartz. Here's 2 soil lichens, Coleocolum next to Lepocolum. They are very common in this area. Nobody was around, so I got to be able to sneak up and catch this photograph of these red knots busily eating.
These are some little birds that are feeding on the mosses here in the tundra. They're actually a shorebird, but there's some kind of nutrients they're finding here. This is the evening light conditions. A very, very long twilight here in Greenland. You can see the colors very subtle colors. It is dead calm.
The view at Cape Petersen.
This is the morning light. You can see it's very calm today. And in the foreground I'll show you something that's interesting. We had frost last night. It's pretty cold actually. It's probably in the high 20s this morning. And I'm very glad the wind is not blowing.
This is the view from Cape Petersen.
Now the evening purples are coming.
How I am capturing this panorama is by having positioned myself in a very stable position in my tent, and I'm pivoting around, capturing this so that you could see what it looks like outside of my tent. We had to drag our kayaks through the ice here and there as it crowded in around our boats, and we got down to Mestervig just in time as the whole place froze up just as we left. I'm pivoting around to show you behind us to the west the Stauning Alps, which are very obviously unglaciated terrain. Just spectacular to see. Now, in the Cape Petersen area, granite and gneiss are starting to show in addition to the sediments. Ice is showing on the mud puddles, ice is showing on the plants, and we're leaving. We're getting out of here just in a nick of time because right after we left, the whole place froze up. Now we are just coming into Archeaology, Iceland after having flown across from northeast Greenland, King Oscar Fjord, and it's raining.